Hello, are we ready to start?
Yeah, sure.
John is not joining or later, you know?
Yeah, he will join in sometime.
Okay, okay. So thank you for joining us again. And again, sorry for the technical problems we had last time. Um, we will today go over implementing a control in VisualTree. But first, we will look at the examples and the work you did on the assignments last time. In general,
Okay.
I think we can see that
Okay.
hopefully what we are teaching is sort of going over, and it seems that the assignments were delivered well. There was one report of a problem, and Aslan will talk about those samples.
Okay, yeah, sure.
In the daytime picker assignment, we have found that we have one issue in the property renderer, and we have delivered this bug to QA. That will be this issue. Property change, set value, daytime picker element, XTJS renderer, parse date. I will explain it in few minutes what is exactly property change and how we must use it.
So actually what we are seeing here is that whomever on our team made this control in VisualTree made a mistake in one of the values, and Aslan is actually going to show you today how these are created, and also how this kind of error can happen. As you said, we are referring this to our QA, and VisualTree is going to be fixed. But this is actually an interesting example of what happens when you create and when you implement a new control, and where you know what one needs to look at very precisely.
The second issue was in the tree view, Abdul, as we talked. The before expand action is working. I have checked it with, I have added a few items to the first node, and I tried to
Yes.
expand it, so it's working. The problem is with after select, node mouse click, and node mouse double click. So I have also send it to the QA to check it, and I hope so it will be fixed in the few days.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay, the last one I have reviewed was the list view. Before creating an example, you must use the VTDocs as a reference. You can't create a new control based on the .NET we are using or the MSDN, so you should always refer to the VTDocs. So for this example, it was Mayu, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It was like list view, tags of columns, and inside VT list view item. The correct way of doing that is VT list view, tag of items, and use the VT list view item, not columns. Okay? So before creating a new example, you can always go first to the VTLogs and see how exactly to do that. You will need it the first time, the second time, and later you will remember, but for the first time, use the VTLogs as a reference. Okay? Okay. Now, we will go back. You can see the screen, or I will change it to the white color.
Is the background here okay, or should we reverse it to a bright background? Guys,
Please change it.
to change?
Yes, change it. Change it to white.
Yeah, okay.
לבן גם מזעזע ככה.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Okay.
We are working today with a different machine after the problems we had last time, so it's somewhat different, configured somewhat different.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's go to time element. I will explain it again. Now, first, inside the system web VisualTree, we have elements folder that contains all the models of the VisualTree. Now, inside the
Okay.
dev express, we have created at the last time time element model. Yes, inherits from text box element.
Okay.
Now we will go to system web VisualTree rendering in XTJS. Inside we have also folders that contains all the renderers. We will use dev express folder. We have created the last time element XTJS renderer. I will zoom it. Now I will explain again. The first one is the MEF attribute export, and the second one is the XTJS render description. The first parameter is the type of my model, its time element. The second one is the base of the renderer, that is textbox element XTJS renderer. And these two types are from Sencha documents. The first one, time field, is the X type. The second one is the Sencha XTJS type, XT form field type. So in the previous session, the problem we had is by defining in the custom tool the renderer generator. So in this session we have fixed the renderer generator. So whenever you create a new control, you need to mention in the custom tool this type, renderer generator, and basically save it, and it will generate time element XTJS renderer base. Let's review this class. Okay. Inside this class, this is generated automatically by the run custom tool. So we have the XTJS type. It's ext form field time. It's the last parameter in the attributes. We will see in the time element. It's the last attribute. Now, the X type is time field. It's the third attribute. It's generated automatically. So we go back to time element. Okay, now we must first build all the VisualTree. Okay, now after we have built all the VisualTree projects, now why I'm doing build. Inside the system web VisualTree, we have added a new model, time element. Inside the system web VisualTree rendering XTJS, we have created a new renderer of time element. So
Okay.
after building these two projects, we can go to system web VisualTree web controls. We have file name generated controls TT. Inside, we have all the controls we have implemented. If you want to use them in the SPX as a VT prefix. So basically what we need to do is right click on the generated controls and run custom tool. Okay, now let's search for the time element.
Morning, Aslan.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Very good.
As you can see, it has generated inside the generated controls a new class named time according to the renderers and also the model we have. Now, after creating this file, after creating this class, we can use it as VT model, VT time. Let's go to one example and we will add it. We will add the new tag and we will see how exactly it's rendering. Let's go to VT docs. We will choose one example. Let's say checkbox element. We will add it to the basic of checkbox. It's loaded. I will choose another one because it's loaded of data, or I will delete all the data inside. Okay. As you can see, we have now the VT, the time control that we can use inside the SPX. We will add also the run at server, and we don't need an ID for this section.
Why? Because you're not wiring events. So.
Yes, we are not using this control in the server side.
Mm.
So let's run it. So inside the checkbox, we have the basic. I have run the example. As you can see, we have the time element we have created. We have basically numbers of dates. We don't have any events, any properties because we didn't add it. So it's basically rendering the basic control. So let's review from the first the steps we need to do for getting this control. Now, okay. Now going back to the project, we have folder VisualTree. The first thing you must do is creating a new model. Inside System Web VisualTree, you have folder named Elements. Inside, for our purposes, we have created a new control inside the DevExpress. So if you have some new control in DataView, so you will create it inside the DataView folder. So inside the DevExpress, we have created a new element named time element that inherits from textbox element. That would be the first step for creating a new control. Now the second step is going to System Web VisualTree rendering ext.js inside the DevExpress folder to create a new ext.js renderer. Now we have created the time element ext.js renderer. Now, whenever you create a new renderer, you must inherit from the name of control and also ext.js renderer base. This file, this class will be generated automatically by the run custom tool. We will get it in 1 minute. Now, every time you are creating a new renderer class, you will need to add a new two mandatory attributes. The first one is the export type of iVisual element renderer, and the second one is the ext renderer description. First parameter is the type of the model we have created, The second one is the base, textbox element txt.js renderer. The third parameter is the X type. For this example is time field. And the last one is the ext.js type, ext form field type. So after adding these two mandatory attributes,
What would the X type be for a grid? Is there an X type for a grid?
we will need to check in the central docs.
Yeah.
for,
Okay. Okay. So you know, I was asking a question which doesn't have an answer. To point out to you that if you're not clear about what the X type is, if it's not a simple one like a time field or a number, so central documentation is where you need to look it up.
Okay. Now, after adding these two attributes, you will need to go to the properties of the renderer you have created, and inside the custom tool to add the renderer generator. So basically, after adding this, you can save this class, and it will automatically create the renderer base. So let's review the renderer base class. Inside, we have the ext.js type. Ext form field time is the last parameter in the attribute, and we have the X type. It's the time field, the third parameter. So we have created the first step, the new model, and the second step we have created the renderer. So basically now we have to build the projects. We can build these two, but I prefer to build
The whole thing.
the whole project because things are related to each other. So the last step, the third step, is to go to System Web VisualTree Web Controls. We have file name generated controls. Right click on the file and run custom tool. It will be generate the control and we will be able to use it in the ASPX as a VisualTree control. Okay?
Okay.
Now I have created one example. Inside the dev express we have spin edit element. Let's go to documents. Inside the center document, we have ext field number with X type number field. Let's run it. We will see how exactly it works. Okay, the first one I don't want to use it. I will use the second one. Okay, let's run the second example. I don't have arrows. Okay, it's basically a field text box. You can press only numbers and you have upper and decreasing the numbers. You have also minimum value and max value and initial value. So I want to create this example as a new control. Let's search the second one. Maybe we have I think this better. Okay, as you can see, the initial value is 99. You can increase it. We can't because the maximum value is 99. Let's decrease it. So we can press any number we want, but you can't press letters, just digits. So I have created this control inside the visual tree. First, I have created the model, the element inside the system web visual tree. It inherits from a text box element. Now the second step is creating the render of the spin edit and adding these two mandatory attributes, export, MEF export, and the second one is EXTJS renderer description. The first type is type of my element. The second is the base text box element EXTJS renderer. The third is X type, and the last one is XTJS type. So we're going to go back to Sencha docs. As you can see, we have the X type in here and the XTJS type in this section. So it's basically easy to find what is my X type and what is my XTJS type. Okay, now I want to add an example for this element, and we will add also a minimum value, and we will implement a new property named maximum value, and also one event you'll go through to be the direction of the arrow pressed. So first, let's add one example of this control. We'll go to checkbox element, the basic. Now let's change it to spin edit, and let's review the example. Okay, the usual problem. Okay, let's go to checkbox element. Let's preview. Now we have the spin edit element, the control we have implemented. You can see we don't have the initial value, we don't have maximum value, and it's just the basic control. So we will need to implement the max value and also maybe adding one new event. Let's go back to the control, the spin edit element EXTJS renderer. Now I want to explain how exactly to add a property, a standard property. First, the syntax is EXTJS property description. The first one is the property name. The second one is the property initialize code. And the last one is the property change code. Now, let's go back to the first parameter. Now, we have the property name. Name of the property in the model element. In the model, this property should be decorated with the render property description attribute. So, inside the model, we must create, first of all, a min value property. So let's go back to the model, and we can see that I have created a property named min value. Every time you are creating a new property, you have two defaults to mandatory things you must add. First of all, you need to decorate it with this attribute, renderer property description. The second one is inside the setter, you must add this part on property change and the name of the property. Okay? Guys?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now we'll go back to the renderer. Let's spin it. Okay. 1 minute. Okay. Now we will go back to the renderer. The first one is the name of the property we have added to the model. It's a min value. The second one is the property initialize code. It's basically enabled to initialize the value of the XTJS element property by specifying the internal code of the renderer's property. It uses client-side code along with C# code. So let's review this one. We have property initialize code. We have min value. Min value, this is the client-side code, equal, this syntax is going to the server-side code, okay? Whenever you open tag and in this closing tag, it's basically going to the server side. So min value client side equals to element, it's like saying this min value of this model. So the property initialize code min value would be the value of our model. So if I have added a default value to the min value, so it will basically would be min value equals element min value equals to 0. So basically it would be min value equals to 0. Okay? Now the last parameter is property change code. Whenever we are changing the value, we need to update also the model value, and we can also use the client-side methods for updating it. So property change code is basically the code will be executed when the property is changed during runtime. This attribute causes the generator to create a property change method. The property change method is the property we have added in the setter on property change and describes its internal code. So for the last property, we are writing property change code. This part is Sencha client side. It's a method from a client, pure JavaScript. So we are adding this set min value, and we are getting the value from we are doing set to the value from the server side element min value. So
this is client-side programming, essentially. You're writing JavaScript code that will also have parameters inputted into it by the server when it's rendered.
yes,
And it's really essentially client-side programming. This is the only place in, when you're using VisualTree that you need to actually understand client-side JavaScript programming. And again, only when you are creating or modifying a VisualTree control.
now after adding this attribute, we will need to save it again. Each time you are adding or modifying any control inside the VisualTree, these are mandatory steps. First of all, after adding a new property, for example, you must save it and build the projects of the VisualTree. And the last step is to go to System Web VisualTree Web Controls. Right click on the generated controls and run custom tool. So let's review inside the run custom tool. Inside the spin edit, okay, inside the spin edit, you can see that we have, one second, we have, it's generated and added a new property named mean value. Okay, now we will use it in the example, and let's review how exactly it's working. We will go to VTDocs. Inside examples folder, we have checkbox element, basic checkbox. So let's add a minimum value of this control. Mean value, let's say 10.
10. Yeah.
Okay, and we can also add, we will add it in the second example. So the minimum value, this control should be 10, and let's run and see exactly how it's working.
I have a question regarding data validation. You have the ability to put the data validation on the client side using events, or this is all on the server side?
You can do also in client side.
Would it be
demonstrate that?
in the VisualTree? Yeah, no, that's
The idea is, for example,
so Aslan will show it later. Is that what you're saying?
Let's see this example. Let's run it. We have like data validation in the client, so you can set an error like this.
And how is this implemented in the code?
You will see later, but I think John.
yeah, my point is, for example, you now implemented an element that require integer. What happens if you're going to type some characters in the box?
You can't.
Don't let it?
No, it's the set error. Wait, you mean the control that we have implemented?
The one that you just showed us, the one with the mean value.
Okay, so
That's the X type text.
yeah, if you have X type of number field, so you can't type anything, just a digits, just a numbers.
So that's a ability we're getting directly from Sencha by using the X type for these basic validations.
So this will prevent also copy paste into the box?
That's right.
Should be.
Yes. No. In it.
אבל?
Data validation also.
Okay, so
Yeah.
all right, so this is automated then. We don't have to worry about the basic validation then.
Yeah, that's the idea of using Sencha, getting a very large amount of capabilities directly from Sencha.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good, thanks. But do show us how to do validation on the client side, Hassan. If let's say that I wanted to allow a value only between 1 and 100, without going to the server side, if it makes sense at all to do this on the client side.
Let's review first of all this mean value. We will add also a maximum value, and you will see that there is no effect on the server side. We don't need to go to server side for validation. Let's review this example and it will clarify all.
So mean value is also checked in the client side.
Yes. Now, as you can see, the minimum value, I can't decrease it. The minimum value is 10. And basically, we have added just in the markup a minimum value 10. So we don't need to verify in the server side that the mean value actually is 10. You can't press.
Yeah. So to repeat again, John, this is something that comes again from Sencha without adding server code. Okay. So this type of validation is also there. Excuse me.
Okay, now let's add a max value for, as you said, and we will have a minimum value, let's say, for 10 and max value 20, and you will see that you can't go above or lower these numbers. 1 second. Okay. Now, first, you will need to go to the model and add your own properties. So it will be max value, public, let's say property. We have snippets for this using, but we don't have it for now. So we will send it to you later and you can use it. So let's change it to max value. Max value. Okay. Now let's build this file, this project. Now, after adding this max value property to the model, we can add a new attribute to the renderer for rendering the max value. So after the build, we go to spin edit menu, and let's copy this section because min value and max value is almost the same. The first one is the max value. The second one, okay, let's review inside the Sencha. Let's go to the Sencha document. Okay. Let's go to a property. Okay. So in the Sencha, in the Sencha framework, we have min value. So you have also a method named get min value, set min value. The property name is min value. So in the property initialize code, the first parameter is the min value according to the Sencha framework. Okay, so it will be min value and equals. We will get the max value from the server. So element is basically the model. Max value is the value of the max value inside the model. Okay. So this part property initialize code would be max value equals to 0 for the initialized code. Now, the last parameter is property change code. This method is set min value. This method should be set max value. Let's review this part. We have also inside the Sencha docs, let's go to max value. And you can see the property name is max value. And the method name is set max value and get max value. So let's go back to our code. And as you can see, the first one is we are using the client side method, this set max value, and the value we are using would be from the model. So we are taking the value of the max value from the server side. So it would be element max value. So let's save it. Let's go to the projects, VisualTree, build. Okay. So now we will go to the system web visual tree web controls, and we will need to run the run custom tool. Before running the run custom tool, we have added a new attribute named max value. We have added also to the model a new property named max value. We have created this new attribute. So
At what opportunity, what triggers do you need to run the custom tool? When you add a property or make a change to a property?
whenever you change the API, whenever you add a new model, whenever you add a new attribute or modifying the attribute,
Right.
even changing one letter should be running again the run custom tool.
And changing something in the model, adding fields in the model. So
Yes, so
basically everything in the render or in the model, you have to run the custom tool.
yes. So let's run the run custom tool. Okay, let's go inside the generated controls, and we can see that it has generated also the max value property. So we will use it also just for the examples. We have added it to a checkbox element. We have a basic, we have a views, index. Okay, let's add also, because it's inherits from a text box, we can add a text with a value, let's say 14, and we will add also the max value. No.
We are checking the custom.
Aslan, if you put a max value of 13 at this point, will this be compiler? It will not be compiler, right? It will be on runtime. We'll just see immediately the error.
Let's check it, but let's run this example and I will check it later.
But essentially, you're only changing the view. So yeah. So that,
Okay, the initialized value is 10, so the max value was 18, so we can't go above. The mean value was 10, we can't go
below.
yeah. So let's check what John said.
No, change the view. Yeah.
We will add a max value of 7, let's say for example. So mean value 10, max value 7. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Let's check it.
The initial value now is more than the max value?
Yes. So the minimum value for this field is 10. Okay, John?
So you saw that the validation was kicked into because of that error in the, or this, the initial value larger than the max value, so there was an error on initial display, which is what you would expect, I suppose.
Yeah. Do we know how the error validation is looking in a grid situation?
I'm not sure. Let's go to grid and we'll see if we have example. If not, I will check it also. Let's go to grid.
I believe in DX it is showing inside the cell, so I'm wondering if it's the same.
John, let's talk after this session. We'll go back to the office. Maximum,
Okay.
I will send you an example of how the error handling inside the grid. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Now, let's go back to the spin edit we have added. So first of all, we have added a new control named spin edit. The text markup is the spin edit inherits from a text box, so you can use a text value, and you can also use all the other values. As you can see, not just the last one we have created, not just min value and max value. It inherits from a text box, so you can use all the properties that text box has, and also the controls and all the inheritance. I'm not sure.
And events and all that.
Yeah. Let's say, for example, text change action. So you have this event from the text box. Now, let's change it back to 17. I would like to add a new event. First of all, explain how exactly the syntax of the events. And let's review just one already, some example that created. Let's go to components. No. Let's search it. XTJS event. Okay. Okay. Now, this one is not so good. Okay, let's review this part. Let's zoom it slightly. Okay, now we are inside the control element. We have a render attribute of XTJS event description. So let me explain what is exactly the parameters, and we will add our custom event from Essential doc. First of all, we have the event name. It's a key press for this control element. The second one is client event name, optional, but it's name of the event in the client side. The third one is client event handler parameters names, also optional, but we better to add, not always, depends on what you are creating. For our example, we will add it. The client event handler parameter names, parameter of the client method as described inside the Sencha documentation. We will view how exactly to find it. And we have also the server event as create code. And the last one is client handler callback data. So if you want to save the value, the callback value, callback data, so you will need to add this last parameter. Not sure if you are adding it all the time, but it's also optional. So let's go to spin edit element. Let's go first of all to Sencha documentation, and we'll go to spin. Okay. Let's review just the events.
פורמליזם. עוד לא 10.
Now we have inside the EXT form field number, it's basically the spin edit we have created. We have event name spin. I want to implement this event. We don't have the event because we just created a new control. So I want to have this event and to have also the direction of the spin whenever someone press the increase button. I want to display a message or whatever. So let's review the spin. Spin, the first of all is this, me. The second one is the direction, is basically the event args. And the last one is E optus, fires whenever the spinner is made to spin up or down. So the first, let's review the parameters. This only the spinner, direction up or down, and the last one is the options object pass to. We'll not use it for this example, so it doesn't matter. So we will need to create inside the model a spin event, and we will need also to add a new decorator of XCJS event description for rendering a new event. So first, we will go to spin edit element. 1 second. Okay. First, let's review this event args that I have created. We have a spin event args that contains a direction, inherits from event args, and basically want to save a state of the direction. If it's up, so up. If down, so it will be down. I will use this spin event args because it's not a standard event args. I will need to use the direction, so I have created a custom event args. Now we'll go back to spin element. Let's add a new event. We have a snippet for a method, property, and the event, but for this example, I'm adding manually. For further implementation, you will just need to mention like this, prop. I don't have this snippet inside here. You will need to use VT prop, and it will generate automatically the property. So let's add a private event with event handler of spin event args. Okay, now let's add a public event, public property. Okay, we will use the add and also the remove. So let's go inside the add. You won't need to create it manually. The snippet will create all the syntax. Just for this part, I'm creating manually. Or let's copy it from other place. Event tags. Let's search. Okay. Let's choose one. So let's copy this one. We have the private event handler, the public event, and 1 second. Okay. Okay. It seems like it should have been stuck for 1 second. We will copy the private, the public, and also this property has drop down closed listeners, and also okay. Now let's go back to our spin element. We will add, and we will change accordingly to our property name. The first one, we will add the spin edit spin event args. Name of this part should be spin. Okay, and we will need to copy this part also. And drop down close should be spin. Spin. Let's replace it. Okay, let's review this part. Public event, event handlers, we are adding need the notification. We are registering this event, and that's it. Let's review the remove on event handler detached. It's also matched to the spin. Now let's go to the property has spin listeners. It's also okay. Let's review the last one on spin. Okay, the thing that does not match is the event arc, so it should be spin event arcs. Okay, so we have also performed spin. Also need to change this. So if you are going to use the snippet. So if you are going to use the snippet, it will create this function, this function also. It will create everything. So the one thing we will need to change is just basically the name of the control.
The snippet, we need to give them the snippet.
Yeah, we will send you also the snippet of the property and also the event. Okay.
Okay.
Now, after adding this, we can add a new attribute to render the spin event art, the spin event. So now let's go back to spin edit element XTJS, and we will add the decorator attribute of event. Okay, now we have XTJS event description. Let's open and close it. Okay, the first parameter is the name of the event that we have created in the model, so it would be spin. The second parameter is the client event name. Okay, 1 second. The client event name. In the Sencha documentation, it's a spin with a small letter. And the third one is client event handler parameters. So let's review this part. The client event handler parameters names, it's basically the event args in the Sencha documentation. So for our users, it's this direction and e opts. We are changing the syntax. This would be in our users, it would be a view. So let's add the parameters. The first one is view, direction, and e opts. Okay. Now the fourth is the client handler callback data. Basically, we will need to create a new event args with the value we want to save. first of all, in the client handler called data, we will use just a direction value. I'm just creating a new temporary value in Sencha, and equals direction to string. Okay, the fourth would be server event args created code. The last one is basically to create a new event args and send the value we have set it to the event args. Let's review the syntax. The event args we are using is spin event args, so we will basically need to write new spin event args, and the value we want to send is the direction value that we have inside the direction val property. So we will basically send this direction val. Okay? Now let's save it and let's build all the projects. Okay, now let's go to System Web VisualTree Web Controls. Let's run the custom tool inside the generated controls. Okay, now let's search the spin inside. Okay, now as you can see, it had the generated controls added the spin action. Okay, so basically we can use now the event in the ISPX, also the server side, but we will demonstrate only in the client side, in the markup. So let's go back to examples, the basic checkbox, and let's add the spin event. Okay, now we have spin action. Let's say, for example, the controller name is basic checkbox. Basic checkbox, and let's say spin. Okay, basic checkbox and spin direction. Go back to the controller. Let's create this event, this action. Okay. And let's run it.
Okay.
I need to run it with a debugger. So let's run it again. So let's review the example, and you'll see why it's not working. Let's go back. Now,
it was not bringing up the event that you wired, right?
yes. So let's go back to the control. No, first of all, let's go back to the index. It's not this one. Inside, we have index SPX. Okay, let's review it. We have a spin action. Is the name of the controller.
Is this the view that you were showing for sure?
Yes. And we have also the direction. Let's go to the controller name. Let's copy it. Okay, it's the same one. And we have added also the spin direction.
So that's the action.
Yes. So let's run it again. We will add a message box just for checking if it's working. We need to change also the spin event arcs if we want to use the direction, and let's say direction Let us check the spin edit event, the spin edit attribute we have added. Let's review it again. Maybe some mistake we have added. Okay. The first is spin matching the name inside the spin element. The second one is the client side. The client name. The third one is the client event args parameters, that is view, direction, and eops. The client handler callback is direction val with a string, direction to string, and the last one is let me go to the copy I have created. Okay, let's take it, and we will review exactly what is the problem. Let's use the last one, and you'll see if it's working. If not, we'll check it again. Let's build it again. Going back to web control, run custom tools. Okay, let's review. We have also the action. Okay, we have the spin action, and let's run it. Let's build it first, or the program.
Okay, so now the event is wired and you get the message box that you put in the event code.
Basically, I
Okay.
had a syntax error. So whenever you are creating, so you must double check and if it's working or not. So it's basically programming, not something new. So I have the direction down. I can press up and direction up. Okay.
So the event arguments are what you defined in the renderer, and they can then be used in the event code.
Yes. Now let's go back to spin elements. We have added. John has left. Okay, we have added the first two mandatory attributes. We have added two properties, and also we have added a new custom event. Okay. Now please ask if you have any questions regarding what we have done, steps, or if something is misunderstood.
Yeah, sure.
Any questions, or we will move to giving you assignments, and then maybe there will be questions when you actually work on those.
Yeah, questions regarding this, whatever you have mentioned in this double quote, for that syntax, if we found anything due to that just now what has happened, so how we'll come to know the issue?
Well, it's difficult to give a general answer. Um, what is usually helpful is to use examples from other controls. The syntax isn't. I'm not sure what was the problem here. Probably one parenthesis too much, too many, or too few, something like that. The most helpful is to look at existing samples, going from the simple ones to the more advanced ones. Everything, as we always say, is open code here, so it's very easy to. So Aslan is putting back what. The two versions.
Let's review.
Where is the difference? For example, there's more spaces here. I just see.
We can see
this
that
is
we
not
have
compiling.
yes, we have this space and also this space, and we have also this one. In each parameter that we have created, we have more than one space. Basically, is the only difference. So it's not hard to create a new event args, but you need to see if the names match the, let's say for example, the first parameter matching the name of the event that we have created in model. This one is the client side. This one is the event args in the Sencha. This part is only if you want to save the client callback data, and the last one is basically the event args that you want to set. So
look, here's the difference.
Here's the difference. Yeah.
That's the difference at the end.
One part in here that should be in here.
Yeah, and that is why I didn't compile, and the spaces weren't in there. No, it's still not fine.
That's it.
Yeah, it's always a case of missing parentheses, and it is somewhat involved. But the indication that this wasn't right was actually that it didn't add the spaces. Right. So now if you build, I think it will add the additional spaces like you had in the other sample. Anyway, if you get into trouble, the best advice is to look at other examples that are working.
Okay.
It's not much maybe of a general rule, but it's the same as with other coding problems. Okay, so apart from that, any other questions? Okay, so let's move to the assignments.
Okay.
Okay, just 1 minute. So here again, this, as in what you said, again, the problem was in some, the final parentheses and the quotation marks, that's where everyone goes wrong. So that's where I would first look. So here are the assignments. We have 5, so you sort of best organize. Oh, there's actually 2 more. Aslan?
Okay. Now you are 8 persons, so you will need to choose the first 4 is singles, and the last one 3 people can do it. The first one is creating a new control and also adding the custom events. Okay.
Yeah, so you can organize around those assignments as much as best you want. So, but just explain, these are new controls to be implemented.
Yeah, let's review just one control. Just to understand, you can copy the name and going to Sencha Docs. One second. Okay, let's copy the Sencha Docs. Okay. We will search, let's say, the NXT field password. First of all, before starting modifying the visual tree, you will need to have a debug 13. So either you are compiling in VS13 or using VS15 with the debug 13, okay? Please do not compile at debug 15, the visual tree elements, because it's based on the shell of 2013, so it must be using only 13 version, okay?
2013, yeah, that's important. Is that understood?
Yes.
Okay,
great.
now let's search for the ext field password. Basically, we'll need in the assignment to add a new controls that we have created. Let's say, for example, the spin edit or also the time element. So basically, the ext field password with the x type password field is. Let's run the example and we will see it. We have a password, so it's basically a field of password. You can't see the what you are pressing, okay? So basically, the first one is to creating this element. The second one is to creating a single color picker, date picker, and also check item. In the check item, you can add a new 2 events, and also inside the password, we can uncheck the inherit, and we can see that we don't have a special event for the password, so we can't create any new events for the password, okay? But we can go, for example, the last one, the check item, and disable the inheritance, and we can see that we have 2 events we can create, check change and before check change, okay? So these are basically 5 controls, the last one with 2 event args, and you can also add a property, please surprise us, add new properties, 2 more events, and new all different controls that we don't have in this list, and just send us the assignments, and also if you have problems you can feel free to call us again.
And we will copy this list into an email and send it to you shortly. Okay.
Okay.
And as usual, we'll put up the recording later today. And I think that really concludes our series. So thank you very much for everyone for joining and taking part. I think we will be in continuous engagement through the work on the migration project. So I'm sure we will still be all in contact. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.